Hi, hello, a pleasant afternoon everyone. So we are the group 3 and we're going to tackle about the given topic, which is methods and strategies of teaching. But first, let's define what is methods and what is strategies. So methods, it is a particular form of procedure for accomplishing or approaching something, or it is a way, especially a systematic or established one. So in Filipino language, methods, it is the paraan ng pagtuturo or paraan sa pagtuturo. So while strategies, it is a plan of action or policy designed to achieve a major or overall aim. So in Filipino language, this would be diskarte sa pagtuturo. So a teaching method comprises the principles and the methods used by the teacher to enable students' learning. So these strategies are determined partly on a subject matter to be taught and partly by the nature of the learner. So for a particular teaching method to be appreciated and efficient, it has to be in a relation with the characteristic of the learner and the type of the learning supposed to bring about. So approaches of teaching classified into two. The first one is the teacher-centered and the second one is the student-centered. So in teacher-centered approach to learning, teachers are the main authority to figure in this model. So students are viewed as the empty vessels whose primary role is to passively receive an information via lecture or direct instruction. So with an end of the goal of a testing and assessment. So in student-centered approach to learning, teachers and students play an equally active role in a learning process. So the role of a teacher is to coach and facilitate the students' learning, and student learning measured through both formal and informal form of assessment. By the way, every student has different background, abilities, and aspect of life. So some students are weak for this kind of activity and some students have an interest of it. So as a teacher, you have to know your students and their learning needs. So as an example, in the four corners of a classroom, not all students have a high intellectual capacity. And some students are still developing, right? So what you need to do as a teacher is you need to come up with a strategy to divide those smart students to join the students who are still developing. In addition, for them to have an equilibrium group and to have a guidance. For instance, the first group would have their brainstorming and the second one would have their jingle to be presented about their topic, and the third one is portraying. So as a teacher, he or she must choose the teaching strategy that most suitable to the topic being studied and the level of the expertise of the learner and the stage in their learning journey.
So the most basic teaching method is explanation. Explanation is characterized by its function as a tool that is used by a speaker for understanding or giving a sense to the object of communication, a debate, or a discussion. The rule of explanation is to clear the meaning of an object and maintaining formally to the necessary distance between the object and the action, or study the tools. In the learning or teaching process, explanation is a tool used by both teaching and student. Its goal is to manifest comprehension. Traditionally, explanation belongs to monological teaching method where the information is transmitted from the teacher to the students. According to the Colvin 1999, in the practiced, individual forms of explanation often percolate in this perspective, with student passively receiving what presented, collecting feedback on students' perceptions of whether students feels particular teaching assisted them in understanding the object matter. So, without student understanding, no explanation can be said to be clear.
Lecturing is the most commonly method and strategies of teaching science. Only the teacher talks and students are passive listeners. Since the students do not actively participate in this method of teaching, this is a teacher-controlled and information-centered method. According to Wesley, Igorby, Runsky, Stanley suggested that the lecture method serves four basic purposes. First is to motivate, second is to clarify, third is to review, and the fourth is to expand. First is to motivate your audience to listen and inspire for some creative thinking. Second is to give clarification of your subject matter that you've delivered. Third is to review your lesson to make sure that you've got 100% of your subject that you've delivered, and also to measure the students if they are listening and understand the lesson you've talking. Fourth is to expand further your lesson so that your audience will understand what is your aim and purpose of your lesson, and if you want to be a good lecturer, you must have these things and must take care of. First is time available, the audience, subject matter, posture, appearance, manner, gesture, voice, vocabulary, use of audiovisual aids, and blackboard. But the important thing to do of the lecturing is how you present the subject matter in a proper way that your audience will listen to you and understand the lesson you've delivered.
Next is demonstrating. So, demonstrating, which also called as a coaching style, this is the process of teaching through experiments. So, example, in cookery, it is not just only reading a book or reading those ingredients written in a book, but it also needs demonstration or performing how to cook, because it needs an experience, experience, and to produce an outcomes, because in cookery or in cooking field, you need to have a try and error to produce a good outcome. So next example, those scientists, so they're going to experiment just like doing or making medicine. So demonstrating still exists. And also, it is the most important to have a demonstration, because demonstrations have to raise the students' interest and reinforce memory retention, because they provide connections between the facts and the real-world application of those facts. That's why demonstration is the method of teaching.
Next is collaborating. Collaborating or collaborations allows students to actively participate in the learning process by talking with each other and listening to others' opinions. When we talk about collaborating, this is very important, especially in the primary and secondary grade, because most of the students, as we all know, like when they are given certain group tasks or group activity from their teachers and they want to contribute with their classmates, that's why as a teacher you should have different techniques on how to use and apply collaborative learning. Collaboration also establishes a personal connection between students to contribute their ideas and sharing their knowledge to the group and learning from one another or working together, as what they said. That's why it helps the learner to build and relying a good relationship to the other learner. As an example of this teaching method, just like example group research or group project, wherein teacher may employ collaborative process to assess students' abilities to work as a team and develop their leadership skills or presentation abilities. So another example, just like on-spot group activity or group reporting, wherein students creates group interactions and enable them to participate to their group as a benefit for them to develop their social interaction skills. The most common type of collaborative method of teaching in a class is classroom discussion. It is also a democratic way of handling a class, wherein each student is given an equal opportunity to discuss. A discussion taking place in a classroom can be either facilitated by a teacher or a student. A teacher could also follow presentation or a demonstration to assess students' understanding and to broaden learners' perspective. Overall classroom discussion can enhance learners, develop their communication skills, and to build self-confidence.
Debriefing refers to a conversational sessions that revolve around the sharing and examining of information after a specific event has taken. Meaning, if we're going to put in the field of classroom, it refers to a teacher between students, wherein teachers share his or her knowledge to his students, while students do it vice versa. So as what they've said, teacher can learn from his students and students learn from their teacher. Another example, we as students, we already experience to have thesis or research. So in a group, we debrief each other to share our different ideas within that given topic. And just like collecting different perspectives. Another example I've researched is visualization. Is bring dull academic concepts to life with a visual and practical learning experiences, helping your students to understand how their schooling applies in the real world. Example, include using the interactive whiteboard to display photos, audio clips, and videos, as well as encouraging your students to get out of their seats with classroom experiments and local field trips.